Hi, everybody. I wanted to talk today about ego. There's a lot of talk about ego and a lot of ideas about what ego is all about. And I thought I understood ego. And then I started to very recently start to consider other aspects of what ego is all about. Just thought I'd talk about that a little bit. And I invite you to write your comments in, whether you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube. Write the comments in. Tell me your opinions. What's ego all about? So I had a very boiled down, simple view of ego. Tried to get all the loose ends out of it and say, ego is, this is me. That's not me. You're not me. This is me. That's not me. This is mine, whatever this is mine. That's not mine. Those are the two rules. This is me. That's not me. This is mine. That's not mine. That creates this ego of creating an identity within yourself that says, I am separate from everything else, and what I have is separate from everyone else's, and who I am is separate from everyone else. I got to thinking about that, and I thought, this was very recently. Actually, I was watching a Marvel documentary on the superheroes, and they started talking about alter egos. And how Superman, for instance, is both Clark Kent and Superman, and those two people are very different. And Batman is Batman, and he also pretends to be Bruce Wayne, the billionaire playboy. Those two entities are very different. So I thought about that and said, all right, so now you have the capacity to have two different egos within one person in both those situations, or in any similar superhero situation. But then you bring that back down to earth, bring that back down to yourself. And I realized, well, I have a person who I am at home when I'm with my family, when I'm taking care of people, and when I'm with my wife and having a good time. I'm a certain person, and people see me in a certain way, and I see myself in a certain way. But then I'm another person at work, and those people see me in a certain way, and they have a certain set of expectations about my behavior and my interests and what I do. And then I'm another person still, maybe when I'm on vacation or when I'm visiting friends. And it started to realize that we all have alter egos. So when we talk about an ego, what are you really talking about? How do you can't get rid of all of these. You can't break away from all these characteristics and characters that you've created and parts that you pretend to be. So how do we understand ego? So now I think that I'll reach out and I'll talk to Raphael about it, because earlier he said that he'd be interested in talking about it. Yeah, he says he's ready to talk about it. So Raphael, he's standing here. He's got his hand on my shoulder. He wears a bluish, purplish robe. Sometimes the hood's pulled over. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes he has the hood pulled over just because he thinks it's funny. Yes. So he's asked me, so do you want to talk about ego? And yes, I do want to talk about ego. He says ego is a boundary. Ego is a self-imposed boundary. Ego doesn't exist except that we choose that it should exist. Because that fits our needs as living beings. We meaning human beings, we create these boundaries around ourselves, and we believe that's as far as we can go, or that's our limits, or you don't take this action because that is out of character for you, and you don't do it. A lot of people say we need to get rid of our ego. We need to break away from that ego. We need to eliminate the ego. But what is really meant by that is that we need to be able to move beyond the boundaries that we've set for ourselves, these artificial lines that say what we can do and what we can't do, what we can accomplish, what we can't accomplish, how we restrain ourselves or create fears and protective instruments, he's saying. He's saying he's becoming a glowing, he's got a glow around him now that he didn't have before, and that glow is expanding and filling into the room. He's saying we're infinite beings. We have no limits. We can be anyone we want to be, and we can go anywhere we want to go. And only conditioning prevents us. I need you to say that over again. I lost track when you said prevents us. It prevents us from being anyone or in anything, and everyone and everything. It prevents us from experiencing the vastness of the universe. So ego isn't so much about getting rid of ego. That's sort of a fad way of looking at it. It's really about getting rid of the personal boundaries that define you. To understanding you're much more than that. And he's saying, is that sufficient? So I think that's sufficient. So we've redefined, thank you, Raphael. Thank you always. So we've kind of redefined ego there as boundaries we place on ourselves. So what do you think? What do you think about ego and the whole ego concept? Now, I think I'm going to follow this up with a meditation in a couple of days, and we're going to consider some aspects of ego when we do that. I hope you've all enjoyed the show. If you've enjoyed this video, then please subscribe and hit that like button, because every time you do, it helps me attract new people, and it helps search engines to show me more often. So thank you so much, and have a great day.